Magic is one of the major combat and playstyle methods when going through an Elder Scrolls game. It has taken a major downgrade when entering the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, and I would like to see it return to better forms of its sorcery from games like Oblivion and Morrowind. How are they going to do this, you may ask? Well, I have a couple of ideas on how magic can be a more valid playstyle in the Elder Scrolls VI. And what is up guys, Andrew from the Den Men here, and today I wanted to talk about my ideal magic system for the next Elder Scrolls game. We have a lot to go over, so if you are excited, make sure you hit that like button and comment what you want to see from magic in the next installment in the Elder Scrolls series. With that being said, let's get right into the video, so get comfy, don't forget that bottle of Blackbriar mead, and let's go through what I want to see from magic in the Elder Scrolls VI. The lack of meaningful and interesting spells in Skyrim is alarming and is one of the first things Bethesda needs to take a look at. Looking at the destruction spells, most if not all of them are the same and needs to have some sort of fix to them. Making them more diverse with what they do and how they are seen in game is a good way to make it a lot better. Flames, freeze, and sparks all have the same animation with slight variation to them, give us spells with distinct difference that we can see in game. Fireball and Firebolt are also the exact same spell, with one just being a larger area of radius, and this should not happen again. As fans, we want to see spells that are very different from one another, so it feels like we are evolving as our character and overall just gives us more gameplay variation. I really want to see the difference between these spells, and this should be something that Bethesda will look to fine-tune in the next game. Alongside seeing diverse spells, the sheer number of spells should also be increased from Skyrim. If we could have a large amount of unique spells, it will be a step in the right direction for Bethesda. Looking back on Morrowind and Oblivion, there was a massive amount of spells, and that was significantly decreased in Skyrim. If you look up a list of spells in Oblivion and compare it to Skyrim, you will be shocked at the amount that was left out of the Elder Scrolls V. The lack of spells in Skyrim is alarming and needs to be changed in the Elder Scrolls VI. A few different spells that I would like to see personally are more summoning options for the Conjuration Tree. It is hard to believe that there are so many Daedra in the Elder Scrolls universe, and the fact that we could only summon one type of Daedra was a big letdown. Daedra, Scamps, and Clanfear could all be good options and bring a lot more diversity to the next game. Bringing in more options for the Conjuration skill line is not a bad idea at all, and personally, I would love to see more choices in the next game. One type of magic we did not see in Skyrim is mysticism. Even though most of the spells were put into different trees like Alteration and Conjuration, a lot of the ones we did not see return from Oblivion. I'm not saying I want to see mysticism return as a whole, but if they could bring back most of the missing magic options like Dispel, then we could see a major revamp on that end in the next game. Probably the biggest downgrade that happened in Skyrim was how you couldn't make your own spells like in Oblivion. Spellcrafting was a major gameplay difference that set apart what being a mage is in the Elder Scrolls IV. It would be interesting to see what kind of variations of spells or powerful ones that you could make if they bring it back. If they do decide to bring it back, I would want it to have its own skill line that you can upgrade to make even more powerful magic. In the same way that smithing improves weapons and armor, spellcrafting would be able to upgrade spells. If they can find a way for magic to get better over time, it would be a major boost to gameplay. Being able to create or improve more powerful spells is something that is lacking from Skyrim, and hopefully we see it in the next game. There is a lot of potential when it comes to spellcrafting, and I would definitely want to see it brought back. I could only imagine what we could see. What if we could mix certain spells together, like maybe a lightning firestorm, or maybe a spell that shields you from enemies but also heals the player? The amount of combinations that we could see is next to none, and this is one feature that for sure should make an appearance in the Elder Scrolls VI. A big class of magic that was really underutilized was that of Necromancy. The art of conjuring the undead wasn't really fleshed out to how good it could have been. Taking a look at a game like the Elder Scrolls Online, they did a pretty good job when it came to the Necromancer class, but Bethesda can even take it a step further. I really like the idea of being able to draw power from the dead. If we could see spells that could grant extra armor resistance or absorb health when you cast it on the dead, would greatly expand Necromancy just beyond raising the dead. Obviously, a main part of this would be the resurrecting part of it all, but by widening the range on this line of magic, it would be greatly improved just by those standards. I have always wanted to become a necromancer in Skyrim, but the lack of depth and immersion is something that needs to be further developed. The fact that it is allowed to raise the dead in cities and around people is something that has to be corrected. Even though it was never officially prohibited by the Empire, it is still greatly frowned upon. It should at least bring upon dialogue like the same if you are caught dragon shouting in cities. To go even further, necromancy is prohibited within the Mages Guild, so if we are to see its return in the Elder Scrolls 6, this should be addressed. If the player is caught practicing necromancy, there should be some type of consequence that is incurred, like a fine or even someone who talks to you and tells the player to stop. It would even be interesting if there was a secret necromancy teacher that no one knows about and the player can seek them out to gain more knowledge about the darker arts. This would improve immersion tenfold for magic in general and would be a great addition. Necromancy needs to be fleshed out more to round out magic, and any of these options would be a good idea for the Elder Scrolls 6. Enchanting and alchemy are also included in magic as a whole, and they are probably the things that are the best. When it comes to enchanting, there is not a lot that I would want to see done. They really hit the nail on the head, and maybe adding a few more options would build on depth. Overall, the skill line is very good, and I would like to see something similar in the Elder Scrolls 6. Alchemy is, in my opinion, very high quality as well, with how you create potions and learn how to make these powerful concoctions. Being able to figure out how to assemble the ingredients into these mixtures is something extra to do in Skyrim and could be very enjoyable. It can be a little overpowered at times, but other than that, there's no real downside for the system. For those who delve into the alchemy line, it could be extremely useful, and I hope that we see something very close to Skyrim's version in the Elder Scrolls 6. When people talk about what they wish Bethesda did better, one of the first things that come to mind is magic. This is likely because they removed a lot of features that we saw in games like Oblivion and Morrowind. I would still like a fresh touch to the next game, but bringing back a few of these elements from the older games could be a big improvement. If we could see more spells, some type of spellcrafting, and more depth to magic in general, Elder Scrolls 6 could be a great game. But that is all for me now though, guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Comment any videos you want to see in the future, and I'll see you all next time.